Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. This is Grand Theft Auto 5 running on GPD's latest handheld, the GPD Win 3. This particular platform is running Intel's latest Tiger Lake, which is the 1135 G7, this particular model right here. I also have the 1165 G7 right over here. The main difference between the two is that the 1165 G7 has 16 more execution units, or 20% more execution units, as well as slightly elevated CPU clocks. However, you're not going to get that power, you're not going to get that performance difference across all games very easily. I'm doing a lot of benchmarks right now, and I hope to have all of my objective tests done by the time Indiegogo goes live. Largely, you're going to be getting that performance gains at anything above 30 watt. That's when you're going to largely start seeing those performance differences. Clearly, there are some engines like Unreal Engine 4 so far that I've been doing tests on that show a clean 10% performance improvement over watt. So if this right now is running at 17 watt, the 1165 G7, this model, would actually run 10% better at the same wattage, just because of the extra execution units running at a lower frequency, thus requiring less power. But not all games are showing this. Not all benchmarks are showing this. So I hope to have a more comprehensive list and to give you guys a more objective idea of what to expect out of the difference between those two units. To touch base on this, for those that are familiar, this is going to be old news to you, but we have our frame rate, our frame time. The frame time is super important. This 16.6 milliseconds, any type of deviation from that, if you get really far away from it, that's when you're going to really start to feel the sluggishness of it. This is what GPD always likes to call fluidity. It's basically frame consistency that you're really going to want. You can see that the package power that is being currently used is 17 watts. The total charge rate is 27 watt. This is going to give us less than 2 hours of gameplay. However, the reason that I've always been a stickler for battery life, and no matter which device I've always used, these particular settings I'm using are DirectX 11. I'm running windowed borderless, 1280 by 720. Everything else is off or as low as possible. It's really recommended to do that, especially in advanced graphics. Everything is off. I'm not using any resolution scale, and I'm also running it at 60 FPS. Now, I have tried doing resolution scale. I have tried frame limiting to 30, but I'm not getting any performance. I'm not getting any power benefit by doing so. I save roughly 1 watt. So if I'm only going to save 1 watt and severely degrade all of my performance, the experience is going to get significantly less for no reason. Now, that's just this game. Not every game is going to act the same way, so you definitely do have to kind of be mindful of things here and there. But for the most part, Intel's Tiger Lake will use only the amount of power that it needs to and then cut it off. I have shown it in my quick look on games doing just that. One thing that I don't really touch base on, and really it never really mattered because we never had the power, but over on stage left, I do have a USB-C dock with an HDMI connection. This is going to be pretty much very similar to the dock that GPD is going to be selling everyone. For those that are looking to dock this machine and connect it to an external monitor, Tiger Lake actually works very well at full HD resolutions, so 1080p resolutions. It reaches 1080p for not much more power than what we have here. So what I would like to do is, I'm going to go ahead and connect the USB-C here, and I'm going to move my camera to point at my OLED screen to the right. So give me a second while I get that set up. Alrighty. So I just want to show that this is actually working and operating as it's supposed to. So any future updates that I do, I am just going to have this HDMI go to my capture card instead of showing you this. I just want to show you that it does indeed work as it should. So if I go here, now if I press right trigger, I'm going to drive as I should. Now the only thing that we want to do here now is we want to try to push this device even harder. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the USB-C hub now so I get more power, and then take this even higher. All right, you can see that this is now plugged in. This USB-C hub is getting power itself. You can see on the battery monitor that I am getting charged. Moreover, if you take a look at the charge rate, it's now a positive number. So now 30 watts is going into the battery itself. So I'm going to go ahead and go to settings here. All right, so now you can see that we've gone up to 30 watt. We're now 1080p 60 frames a second. Technically, I still have a little bit more power in the system, down to 26 watts. Again, it's only going to take what it needs. So again, we're going to go ahead and take a look at settings. So if I go in here and I go to graphics, we can see over there. Let me go ahead and zoom in on that. Okay, you see 1920 by 1080. All right, make sure I got most of this frame in there. All right, so you can see it right over there. So let's go ahead and start bumping this up. All right, so these are our new settings right now. So I have put on FXAA. MSAA is off. That'll really hurt us bad. Population density, population variety, distance scaling is maxed out. All texture quality is set to normal except shadow quality and reflection quality are been bumped up, as well as water quality has been bumped up. So let's see how much power this demands out of us. All right, we're at 34 watt right now, 33 watt. And we're hitting 50 FPS. Look at the temperature right now. 35 watts on a tiny little device. Now again, I'm running here. Like here, look, I'll get out of the car. I'll get back in the car. This device out here with that HDMI is outputting out to there and is running. This device is running at 35 watts right now. And the temperature is no problem whatsoever. We're hitting 50 FPS, so this is far more taxing than it needs to be, but I just wanted to push it up to 35 watts just so you guys can see what the little platform is capable of. Obviously, just doing 1080p and toning down some of the settings are going to be where it's at. But you can see that we can go up to 35 watt. Technically, if I put this up to 40 watt, it might chew it up just because we probably need the CPU. But right now we're definitely maxed out on GPU. That's one thing that I do have to start showing in my graphs, these little onboard displays here, is that this really needs to show like GPU power as well as individual CPU power, just so that we have a little bit more information on what's going on. So I'll start showing that as well going forward. But 54 FPS right now, 1080p, medium settings, off a tiny little switch light. 34 watts, and we're at 70C right now. It's 75C. Let's just call it 75C. That temp is fine. It is not hot in the hand at all. It's warm. It's warm, but it's not hot. Oh, 78C. Back down to 70. What's our frame rate at? 48, 47. All right, I think this is long enough. This is Grand Theft Auto 5 running on the GPD Win 3, outputting at 1080p as well as running internally on the screen itself, showing that you have a bunch of variety in terms of what you're looking to accomplish on this device. For me, portable is the king, but if you were looking at being able to export this to an external monitor, you don't really necessarily need an eGPU to take advantage of more power that the platform can offer. Additionally, you can plug in and juice on the device itself without needing an external monitor. That is also another option. You just need to be mindful because at this particular wattage, we're going to be having a high charge rate coming out of that battery. Anywho, as always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.